Apple Intelligence, and a new line on my plan. And iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
It's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games, and if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by The Good Feet Store. The Good Feet Store, for over 25 years, helping people get back to the life they love without their feet getting in the way. Start your journey at goodfeet.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On today's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama senior gymnast Corinne Banaghan as we get ready for some final home meets coming up for her and her Alabama career. And Corinne, it is great to see you. Roll Tide. How are you enjoying this senior campaign with Crimson Tide?
I mean, it's been everything I've dreamed of and more. Being a senior feels kind of surreal. It goes by so fast. I can't even explain, but it's been amazing, especially watching this new class of freshmen come in. We have 6 of them, and they are just lightning in a bottle. I mean, they are an incredible group of girls, and watching them succeed is kind of like a full circle moment. I remember my seniors when I was a freshman, and being able to be in that same position that they were and just leading the younger generation and watching them go through their first season as if it was your first season is just truly special.
I'll have more in a moment.
This is Christian Miller for The Good Feet Store. I know from playing football at Alabama and in the NFL that if you have foot, knee, hip, or back pain, it can be a huge challenge. The Good Feet Store is designed to personally fit you with arch supports that alleviate and even eliminate your pain altogether. Try them before you buy them. They're in your free, no obligation, personalized fitting, and you can wear them home the same day. So if you're looking to improve your game, The Good Feet Store has you covered. Stop in for a free, personalized fitting today. Roll to victory at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Roll Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms at UA_CTSN. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. We're back. We're live. We're brand new. We're off. We're running. Happy Thursday morning, everyone. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome into the program on a chilly start to your Thursday morning. Just when you thought we were going to have a nice little spring ease on into this thing, 36 degrees in the Tennessee Valley as you make your way into work, into school this morning. Safe travels into either this morning. Obviously, as we get you going on a Thursday, going to recap everything from SEC basketball last night, little college football. Strength of schedules are out from ESPN. Just what does that have in? Remember last week we talked about the correlation between the SEC and the projected win totals from Vegas. Well, now we know the strength of schedules from ESPN, and it kind of goes hand in hand. Danny Cannell and Greg Sankey going back and forth on X is a thing of magic, and we'll fill you in on that as well. But we do start last night inside Coleman Coliseum, Alabama, taking on Florida on the hardwood, and Alabama they fall last night 99-94, final home game of the season for the Crimson Tide. Alabama was out-rebounded last night in this one 50-35, including 16-10 on the offensive glass. It was the fourth time this season, though, that Alabama has been out-rebounded in a game, and just the second time it occurred in SEC play. The other one was LSU, who out-rebounded Alabama. The Tide did score over 90 points for the 16th time this season, the most in Division I. But Drew DeArmond, it comes in a loss.
Yeah, Alabama did not play well last night. When you don't play with passion and you don't play with much intensity and it feels like a game over at Eastside Gym or Lakewood, that's what you get. That's basically what it was. It reminded me of a pickup game where some really good players are on the floor playing against each other, and you're having a free-flowing game of basketball, and then one team finally decides, okay, there's somebody has to win this game, and we're going to, and it's more important to us, and we're the desperate team. We want to win. And that's what Florida wanted to do. They came in wanting to solidify their number one seed. It felt like to me that Alabama had a little bit of a hangover from not blocking out, not making free throws against Tennessee to close out a game, because I thought Alabama played well, and I thought they played with an edge against Tennessee. That never occurred last night against Florida. Alabama is so talented that they can play their C-minus game and score 94 on a team like Florida, because Florida is not a good defensive team. Alabama got the ball wherever they wanted to get it, but when you can't make 2-foot layups and you miss key free throws and you allow Florida to throw up one bad shot after another and just play volleyball and get 3 and 4 shots at the rim, that's what happens. And Alabama got eviscerated on the glass. Florida played with more passion and intensity and with a more physical team, even though Florida's not very physical. I'll say that. I watched the Alabama-Tennessee game, and I've watched Florida for 2 years now, and Florida is one of the best offensive teams in college basketball. When they're rolling, they may be the best. Even better than Alabama, because they were better than Alabama last night. And but I just felt like Alabama wasn't physical at all, but I didn't think Florida was that physical, but they were more physical than Alabama, and they hustled more. I mean, Alabama could not get a 50-50 ball. Alabama could not get a rebound, and that's effort. Plain and simple. They just didn't play hard enough last night. They were like they had, Nate Oates, I thought he put it pretty succinctly. They just lacked pop. It's like they were flat, and it was one of those things. And against a team like Florida, that skilled, that talented, who when they're rolling, we saw them go into Neville Arena and win. They're one of the most talented teams in the country, and one of the and they're deep. They have a deep backcourt and front court. Florida's very deep, and Alabama is a deep team. But the problem is, 4 of them should get Fs for on the film when they watch it this morning. And I mean, Mohamed Diabate, F.
Okay.
1 point. A dead man can give you 1 point. Okay.
Well, a dead man can't give you 1 point.
Well, I'm just going by Rich Valavicious, what he told a former player when I informed Coach that he had 0 points and 1 rebound in a game. And he said a dead man can give me that. And so basically, I thought Mo Diabate played the worst game of his career. He's been a spark plug for Alabama, been a guy that always made winning plays, but he missed 4 layups or so last night, free throws, didn't make any big time plays on the glass, no loose balls. I mean, nothing.
Right.
And I thought Aiden Holloway sucked. He hit 1 3, and he's had some big moments for Alabama. Really come off the bench and played well. He stunk off the bench last night and did not play well at all. Chris Youngblood, 6 points, stunk. He was not very good. They needed more out of him because unless he plays against Mississippi State, I guess he sometimes he just doesn't show up.
Right.
He did not show up last night. F. I just felt like he was not very good at all. And then the cherry on top of the sundae is Jaron Stevenson. Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. Had 4 points, had 1 point until he hit a meaningless 3 that cut it to a 94-90 lead. But by that time, the game was over since Alabama wasn't playing against Tennessee. So Florida wasn't going to pull a Tennessee last night. They weren't going to choke like Alabama did against the Vols. They were going to make free throws and block people out and things of that nature. So I just felt like that, credit to Florida. I think they're a 1 seed, no question about it. Todd Golden made that point last night. I completely agree with him. I mean, they've earned it.
Well, they've had road wins now against Auburn. They've had road win against Alabama. They have checked off all the boxes as far as credentials to get that number 1 seed.
My only worry with Florida is their defensive acumen on the other end of the floor.
Right.
I don't think they're a great defensive team, but if they get it rolling on offense, and they took care of the ball last night. The amazing thing is both teams did. Neither team, Alabama, Florida, neither had 10 turnovers. Alabama has done a much better job in the last few games of taking care of the ball.
Right.
But they just forgot to rebound last night, and they forgot to play with any kind of passion and intensity. And when you don't play with passion, you don't play with intensity, but you're still supremely talented, you can still go out there and play against a great team and give them a game. But you never had the sense last night. Once Alabama built about a 5-point lead in about the first 7 or 8 minutes of the second half, but Florida counterpunched and then got up by as many as 14. It just never felt like Alabama was going to win the game, and they didn't.
All right, here's Nate Oates.
Played us tough. They looked like they had more energy, to be honest with you. So I don't know if it's a lag from the tough loss at Tennessee, if our guys are just tired. I don't know. But to get out rebounded by 15, we knew they're a tough rebounding team, but we're usually better than that when we go into a game knowing we got a rebound. So it seemed like they beat us to about every 50-50 ball. They obviously destroyed us on the glass. Second chance points, they had us doubled. I think we gave up 26 fast break points according to our stats, which is terrible. 26 fast break, 19 second chance, it's 45. That's about half their points came on second chance and transition. So we got to be better. It doesn't matter what your game plan is if you don't get back on defense and can't get a rebound. So, we're going to have to figure it out before we go to Auburn. We got to go number 1 team in the country. We got to go to their place. It's going to be a tough game for us there. And, we're playing for a lot more than just, we obviously can't win the regular season championship. We knew that coming to this game, but playing for SEC tournament seeding, we're playing for NCAA tournament seeding, and we I thought we'd get a little bit better effort than what we got out of some of these guys tonight.
I don't want to use the word panic button, but how concerned are you about your team in this stretch? You've lost, 4 of your last 6.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough stretch to close. I thought we'd do a little bit better. I thought we'd at least play with more effort. I'm more not panicked we're losing. It's more concerning how we lost. Getting out rebounded by 15 and just not getting the 50-50 balls. And I think Florida had more pop, more energy than us. That's concerning to me.
So we've seen Alabama now. We've seen them when they've come into games. We've seen them play with passion. We've seen them play with energy. We've seen them play from the beginning to the end in great forms. We've seen them drop games because of lack of energy. Is at this point in the season, you are who you are. So when we get into SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, is it just going to be going to have to hold your breath and see which Alabama team shows up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just going to have to wait and see if they have any energy that day. If they drank, if
they feel like being there.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they didn't look like they felt like being there last night. At least that's the way I took it. When you feel like you're watching a pickup game at Lakewood, that's what you get. I mean, because there was no edge to anything. They played with an edge against Tennessee. They did not play with one against Florida. And you've got a 1 seed on the line, and it's senior day for a lot of guys that have had a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that program, that it's the last time they're ever going to play in Coleman Coliseum, and you lay a turd like that, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to wonder. And then you're going into Auburn, and Auburn's going to be pissed off because the way they played against Texas A&M. So if you come out playing that way against Auburn, you're losing by 15.
Well,
period, end of story.
The saving grace for Alabama last night. So you fall to Florida, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, are we going to be able to get a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament? We lose to Florida. You got Auburn on the horizon. The saving grace last night comes from Oklahoma and Ole Miss, by the way. Oklahoma at home last night, downs 15th ranked to Missouri, 96-84. The Ole Miss takes care of Tennessee, 78-76. They outscore the Vols 42-35 in the second half to hold on there and get the win. Tennessee had a 2-footer at the buzzer for a chance to force that game into overtime. It does not go in.
Would have gone in against Alabama, but that's another thing.
But those results there help Alabama tremendously because that means Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, and Florida, not in that order, will be your 4 seeds in the SEC tournament and get the double bye.
And we know pretty much Todd Lock, it's going to be Auburn and Florida 1 and 2.
Yes.
What we don't know is the order of Alabama and Tennessee. If Alabama beats Auburn and Auburn decides they don't want to play on Saturday, which I very seriously doubt that's going to happen,
right?
Considering how much that Auburn really loves the Tide.
The question is, will Denver Jones play in that one? That's the biggest question.
Whether he does or not right now probably wouldn't matter.
Right.
Because Pettiford would go for 35 because there'd be people that would decide they wouldn't guard him until, he got 10 feet from the basket. And then they decide, oh, God, we better close out and go out there and tackle him and then send him to the free throw line. So, I mean, because Alabama didn't close out on anybody last night, I can sure as hell tell you that. And if the ball was on the ground or loose, Alabama acted roll away. Yeah, I mean, they did that at the end of the first half. They had a 2-point lead, miss a 3, and it was short. And everybody just looked at it until Florida ran the ball down and then kicked it back out and hit a 3 right before the end of the half. So to take a 1-point lead, I mean, it was putrid. Personally, if it were me, I mean, all I would make Alabama do today for practice after they took an ice bath and tried to get their legs back is for 2 hours, it would be blocking out and rebounding with blocking dummies. I mean, there would be and they would be working on defense. Screw offense. They know how to put the ball in the basket. They scored 94 points last night.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you got to defend and rebound. If you don't defend and rebound, your ass is going to go home before the Sweet 16. And if that happens, it's one of the biggest failures in the history of Alabama basketball because this team is a top 8 team in the country easily, talent-wise. They're not playing like it right now. They're playing with their head up their ass. But, I mean, again, tell the truth. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. And then another thing that I was hearing last night that makes me sick, and it's stupid because the kid's playing hurt and he's gutting it out, is everybody, getting on Grant Nelson, talking about how, well, he's not giving us what you need. He's not being as aggressive. I'll freely admit he's passing up threes that he took earlier in the season and really his entire 2-year career. But he had 10 and 4 last night. And he made a lot of plays in the second half against Tennessee that, that to help them and put them in position to win the game. He's still playing hard. He had a good enough game last night. Now he missed some 2-footers and some things of that nature that you got to have. But again, if the 4 other guys that I mentioned before that sucked last night, that combined for 14 points,
right?
Chris Youngblood should apologize to him. Jaron Stevenson should apologize to him. Aiden Holloway should apologize to him. And Mohamed Diabate. All 4 of them sucked. Okay? And that's the reason Alabama lost the game. If you get 10 more rebounds last night, which is all about effort, if you make a few free throws, which is all about execution, and then if you actually hustle for a loose ball every now and then and throw yourself on the floor, which Mo Diabate has been known for but didn't last night, then you beat the Florida Gators. But you didn't play with any passion, any want to, and you got your ass beat. And so now you have no chance at a 1 seed. Even if you beat Auburn, you should not be a 1 seed. Okay, because I just don't think they've played well enough. And quite frankly, I don't think they're man enough to beat Auburn. They're not going to play hard enough. I think they'll play harder than they did last night.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to win the game. And and here's the other thing that I was wrong about. I thought after I watched Alabama and Tennessee that Alabama was the better team. Obviously, I was wrong. And I thought Alabama was better than Florida. Obviously, I was wrong. I got to give Kevin Brockway a shout out. He almost nailed it completely. He nailed the margin. He said 95-90. It was 99-94. I gave him a shout out last night. I mean, Kevin Brockway, salute, dude. He had that game nailed. Alabama just did not play well. And you got to give Florida a ton of credit. I mean, they're a 1 seed all the way. I mean, they have a better resume than Florida. I mean, than Tennessee. They do. There's no doubt that Florida, right now, to me, the 4 number 1 seeds, Auburn number 1 overall,
Duke number 2,
Florida number 3,
yes,
and then Houston number 4.
Yes.
And Alabama should be on that 2 line. And if they mail in the next 2 games, then they might even drop to the 3.
Well, you make up a good point because a lot of people are making a fact that Alabama has lost 4 of their last 6. You go back to that Auburn game, you give up 94 points, but you score 85. 85 in college basketball is good enough to win a ball game. You go to Missouri and give up 110, but you score 98. 98 definitely enough to win a ball game. You score 94 in the loss to Florida, definitely enough to win a ball game. And then the Tennessee game, you only score 76, but still 76, in some cases, enough to win. Let's get a break in. When we come back, Greg Sankey and Danny Cannell. I don't know if you saw this yesterday.
Then I don't waste my time with Danny.
Oh, well, Greg Sankey didn't waste his time yesterday. Danny Cannell put a shot in the air, and Greg Sankey fired back. Wait till you hear what he had to say. Plus, we'll get to your phone calls next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They should be just about wrapped up on that wreck 72 eastbound at Jeff Road. That one reported with an injury, but they canceled Himsey quickly on it. Everything else this morning has been running super smooth. Haven't seen any other problems. You be careful, put extra room in there so you got someplace to go if something does go wrong around you. Dr. Sandman has the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandman is Dr. Sandlin, and you can reach him at 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Atlanta Braves spring training is on from Florida, and this 2025 Brave squad is ready to get after it in Northport.
He waylays this thing way downtown. Swung on a fly ball, deep left center field, heading towards the gap. That is down for a base hit. Acuna hits the bag at third. Here he comes. Michael Harris taking no prisoners. It's a sweep.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
We are your home for March Madness.
For a second straight year, Ivy Madness has come to March Madness. Yale upsets Auburn, and Yale is on to the second round.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
That's the price you pay. Leave me on your heart and that's the way.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7. The product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. You can throw that around with a lot of college basketball teams today.
Yeah.
Going into tournament season.
Florida. I can tell you that.
Coming up tonight, by the way, you do have ASUN semifinal action. Speaking of hunter and the prey, North Alabama at home taking on Jacksonville. Lipscomb's going to be at home taking on Queens. If they both get a win, championship game will be on Sunday there in Nashville. Tony Poolhole and the UNA Lions on the verge of, on the cusp of, all they need to do is play good 2-4 halves of basketball, and they can get to the NCAA tournament.
Big night tonight for both, really.
Yes,
you know?
Lenny Acuff, obviously former UAH coach, best coach in the Gulf South Conference history in the Hall of Fames. He is trying to get Lipscomb to their second NCAA tournament, his first tournament in the Big Dance. So we'll let you know how all those play tomorrow.
I believe one game's at 6, and I think that's UNA.
7. Yep.
Against Jacksonville, and then against
Queens
is Lipscomb. That's at 7 o'clock, I think. So, there'll be some scoreboard watching as far as one game will probably get over with about an hour after the other.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Bama Bino hanging out with us on a Thursday. Good morning, sir.
How you doing, Bama Bino?
Hey there, guys. I agree with y'all's assessment. It's frustrating, but if you don't do half of what you guys described, which is correct, I don't know about y'all, but when you're shooting within 2 or 3 or 4 feet of the goal or the basket, unless you're at a 90-degree angle, it's gotta be a 90% chance higher of hitting a shot if you use the doggone glass. Bank shots, layups. Don't just try to roll it in there. You can't get a good rhythm if you're just 2 or 3 feet. Use that glass. You've got a good chance of an angle hit more than you do just throwing a shot up. The angle, but the main thing is the layups we miss, the under the baskets we miss.
Missed
Use it
several,
all.
no doubt.
If you add those right there and you just do half of what you guys described, you're going to win the game by 5 or 10 points, and they're going to be shooting free throws. And whether we hit them or not, we'd probably still win. I've noticed that from Auburn, Tennessee, and
Well, it's a college basketball thing, Bamabinos, and it's a lot of this trying to be just too fancy sometimes.
But I will say this for Mo Diabate, he's all about just physicality and effort usually, and his misses last night were using the backboard. He had some bad luck. He had a couple that just rolled off. That's basketball sometimes, but I'll just say this, and it was the whole team. I felt like the whole team looked, like they had a hangover from Tennessee, and they just lacked pop. Now, and I agree with Nate Oates. They didn't. It's funny. It's funny to say they didn't go out there and mail it in. And as he said last year, a few times the team quit and got beat 25, 20, 15, whatever, got blown out. They didn't quit. They kept playing, but they just didn't play with any kind of intensity or edge where you felt like they were playing to win the game. They were just out there, going up and down the floor. It just didn't feel like a high level intense basketball game from Alabama's perspective. The last 10, 11, 12 minutes for Florida, it did, because, Alex Condon was getting an NBA grade and doing chin-ups on the rim, but Florida also understood they could get the win on the road, and Alabama didn't put any doubt in their minds, and they've beat Alabama 3 in a row. And if it wasn't for a Walter Clayton missed free throw, which is kind of shocking, by the way,
right
at the very end of the game, they score 100 on Alabama 3 times in a row. They were playing for a 1 seed, and I don't think Todd Golden did that after it was over. They were like, this was a 1 seed game. We felt like coming in, the winner of this game gets a 1, and I think Florida will do that. I think they'll beat Ole Miss, who's a good team, but I think they'll beat Ole Miss at home to end the regular season. And then you go into Nashville, number 2 seed, with a chance you're on the other side of the bracket from Auburn, who you've already beat the one time you played. And so you've got a chance to really solidify yourself. You could even get, I don't think they'll have the resume, even if they beat Auburn twice, to be the number 1 overall seed, but they could be the number 2. They could jump over Duke. I'd jump them over Duke if they won the SEC tournament.
Florida?
Even if Duke won the ACC tournament, because that's not the same. Okay?
Guys, let me say something real quick. I don't want to take nothing away. I agree. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, sir. You're good.
I agree. I agree with everything that's been said, not 100%. And I just don't want people to think I'm taking away from Florida. There's 2 or 3 guys on that team. The quick missing a block and going up. They look like Clyde Drexler back in '83. They can go to the
they're good
so fast.
They're good on offense, man. Spectacular.
And they do it like they're doing turning up a soft drink. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's some gliding glides in there, but this I don't see no sense of urgency.
That's a great point right there. That's perfect, Bamabino.
Yeah, Bamabino, thanks for the phone call.
Totally.
Thanks, bud.
Totally,
Love
he
you.
nailed it right there. No sense of urgency last night of trying to win on senior night. The last time you're playing in a gym, last time people are seeing you.
Yeah.
And also understanding that you still got a shot at a 1. That's what we were talking about yesterday with Kevin Brockway. And Alabama just didn't play that way at all.
All right. Let's stay out on the phone lines. Let's go to Pat from Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. Hey, Bama being a great call.
Absolutely.
Sense of urgency, that business of Sears crap. That was what it was, crap going down at halftime to score the last goal, that was crap. That just no sense of urgency. That I just it's this bunch is just bending me out of shape. The only person that went to the free throw line that was fairly clutch was Clifford. That I don't think Clifford missed one. That the rest of them were pathetic, missing the funny and the 1-and-1s. Hey, a free throw shooting. We missed at the basket. Hey, on layups and things. But hey, they made a movie about white men can't jump. That's a lie. That I don't know. But anyway, hey, on a good note was what Coach Grubb said. He said, my quarterback made strides from Monday to Tuesday. Wow. What do you think about that, sir?
2 practices.
I understand. I understand, but hey, just that, hey, it sounded good. Hey, all what we saw was so disappointing yesterday. At least Ty didn't disappoint from Monday to Tuesday.
Thanks for the phone call, Pat.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a blessed day.
256-576-4977, getting some reaction to Alabama's setback last night to Florida. Let's get a break in. And when we come back, I will mention the Danny Cannell, Greg Sankey little feud on X last night. It was pretty funny and hilarious. We'll get to that next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Another chilly night across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures drop into the mid-30s. A mostly cloudy sky for your Friday. We are going to be a little bit warmer. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-60s, dropping into the upper 40s, lower 50s as we head into the overnight early into your Saturday. A mostly cloudy sky Saturday afternoon. Some scattered showers are going to be in the forecast, but once again, temperatures climbing into the lower 60s, dropping into the upper 30s, lower 40s through the overnight early Sunday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a 3-vehicle injury accident at the north end of the causeway coming out of Decatur. They've got everything but the number 1 lane blocked up. They're letting traffic get by it there, but it's going very slow. 72 and Jeff Road should be clear now. Have you tried numerous weight loss plans and nothing seems to work? Your hormones could be the problem. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Got Tyson, Drew, and Armin. Welcome back into the show. And, oh, boy, this is just too good not to have to mention. So yesterday afternoon, this caught my eye. It was midway through the afternoon. Ken Pomeroy
right,
from Ken Palm put out a tweet, and the headline says, Why hasn't anyone said, quote, the SEC is overrated? And it says the SEC is probably overrated. That is what Ken Pomeroy put out there. Danny Cannell followed that up by saying the smartest man in basketball is saying out loud what I've been thinking for the past 3 months. Thank you, Ken Pomeroy.
So Danny Dumbass is saying that the SEC is overrated in basketball?
Yes.
Lord, when you smoke PCP, I guess that's what it does to you.
So Greg Sankey saw this yesterday, and Greg Sankey replied to Danny Cannell. He says, just helping explain why the SEC is overrated. 30 wins and 4 losses versus ACC. Wow. 14 wins and 2 losses versus the Big 12. Oh my. 10 wins and 9 losses versus the Big 10. Thumbs up. 885 wins and 23 losses in non-conference games. And he gives the sunglass smiley face emoji. And then he goes, and this is the best. Greg Sankey says, I confess, the SEC teams have a 500 record in games after 1-4-25, which is conference season. Sure, let's go with overrated.
I mean, I would ask Ken Pomeroy, like, okay, well then who's the best league? If the SEC is so overrated, so who's the best? I mean,
yeah.
What makes Ken Pomeroy think the SEC is overrated? Now that could play itself out in the SEC, in the NCAA tournament. Excuse me. We'll see how the teams do, but there's no metric that you could say the SEC is overrated right now at all. I mean, they dominated in pre-conference and just decimated everybody they played.
So does SEC, so it brings up the question. What does the SEC have to do come NCAA tournament time to back up this talk of being the best conference in the regular season?
Well, I would say probably get 2 Final Four teams, maybe 3 Elite Eights, because I would say 4, but that's really hard.
Right.
If you could get 3 Elite Eights, 2 Final Fours, because that means 2 of the 3 in your regional finals make it to San Antonio. Maybe 5 or 6 in the Sweet 16 potentially. I think that's the way you back it up.
Okay.
Because everybody's not going to. I mean, again.
Because remember, like the last couple of years, we've said the Big Ten has been the best, and the
Yeah.
Big Ten gets into the NCAA tournament, and what? Michigan
And have you
State
ever
is still.
noticed that Danny Dickhead doesn't ever talk about the Big Ten being overrated, like
Right.
in any sport,
Right.
Or because he's obsessed with the SEC.
Oh, he
The
is.
next thing he's going to tell everybody is the SEC in baseball isn't that great. When they've got 11 or 12 ranked teams, like, shut up, Danny. It regularly, 4 teams make it to Omaha, half of them. How many times in the last 5 years has it been an all SEC final? Okay. And I'm sorry, but you can't change it. I mean, I can't help it that your alma mater is the best program to never win the College World Series. Mike Martin had so many great teams, but he never, won the national championship. And now Lincoln Jarrett's the head coach there, and they've still never, won the national championship in baseball. They are. I mean, you look at how many times that they've been to Omaha. I mean, they have been an institution, and yet they can't win any of them because they always fall short. And then, Danny, if you ever get your wish, which is your secret wish, and that's why the SEC, you can't get it out of your mouth so much, is if Florida State ever comes to the league, if they're ever invited, you might want to get some Valium, because I think your athletic program is going to be in the middle of the pack, if not down in the bottom third of the SEC consistently. Like, you think you're going to rule the world in baseball when you come to the SEC, you might have another thing coming. Basketball is already in the toilet, dog. So I don't really think you'd be having that much success in basketball.
Well,
Leonard Hamilton had a good run, but come on, look at that Florida State's basketball history. It's not that great.
Well,
and
Danny
then,
Cannell's probably so upset because the ACC this year in basketball is atrocious.
And Danny,
and they're going to get just 3
understand
teams
something.
in probably.
we all love Bobby Bowden here. He is a native Alabamian. He grew up in Birmingham.
Yes.
But he wanted to be Alabama's coach and leave your university. Understand that. He was going to. Everybody knows that. And another thing they know, Danny, is that he didn't want the smoke when the SEC wanted you guys back when you would have played in the SEC, Danny. But he didn't want the smoke because he knew Florida State would have a tougher path, which he was right. So Coach Bowden made the right decision. I'm not criticizing him. He went to the ACC because there's no playoff system. It's voter-based.
Right.
You're trying to give yourself the easiest path to the national championship. And he won 2 in his Hall of Fame career. And so, look, I mean, Bobby Bowden was a friend of this station. He was on several times. Bobby Bowden was the kind of guy, you call him, he'd answer the phone. One of the greatest segments in the history of this radio station is on one of our former producers calling Mark Richt and then accidentally calling Bobby Bowden. And Bobby Bowden just answered the phone and did an impromptu interview without even being scheduled because he called Bobby Bowden first and then he called Mark Richt.
Yeah.
How many coaches
Ray, baby. Give me some Ray.
No, but how many coaches keep their phone number in the phone book where you just look it up and then you call them and they just say hello? And
let's go with it, baby.
That's my former offensive coordinator.
Let's go.
Bobby Bowden is salt of the earth. May he rest in peace. But I'm just saying, I don't know if Florida State really wants the smoke because they've had issues, especially since Coach Bowden retired. Because why do you think Jimbo wanted to leave? Because he couldn't get the facilities built. They couldn't get the money raised. It's tough. And so, again, that's what I'm saying. I'm just telling the truth here.
Oh, no. So 2022, 2023, and 2024, if you take all those NCAA tournament results and you put them into a blender, the SEC has gotten 22 bids. The Big Ten has 22 bids. And the ACC has 15 bids. The Big Ten had, 23 bids for the Big Ten. The SEC was expected, if you add all of those up, they say the expected win total should have been 30 wins during that time for those 3 years. The SEC compiled 22 wins with one Final Four team. So, I mean,
here's the thing that Commissioner Sankey, and I'm going to call him Commissioner Sankey.
Yes.
The other thing he should have mentioned in that tweet and said, Danny, I have a question for you, son. And he should have said, son. What was the score of the South Carolina Clemson game?
Ooh, just throw a little salt there in the wound. Or how about Florida State?
The only ammunition that Danny dumbass has is Duke beating Auburn in a very high level game in Cameron Indoor Stadium by 6. Okay,
that's
it. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can really say. I mean, but the biggest example is South Carolina, which is one of the 2 worst teams in the SEC, along with LSU, beat Clemson in overtime. And Clemson is second place in the ACC. That's all you need to know. As far as now, of course, Pomeroy may say, well, the ACC is bad. But okay, I would ask Pomeroy, if the SEC is overrated, who's the best conference, Pomeroy?
Yeah, I got to do some looking into that and why he came out of that. Let's go out.
I'd ask him.
Yeah,
who's the best? If you think the SEC is overrated,
then who's the best?
Who's the best league then?
Yeah, let's go visit with Brandon real fast. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning.
Remember when Jamie Dukes was on Atlanta radio and he called Bobby Bowden one day?
He just called him like cold called him like that?
Just straight called him.
Yeah, and he answered, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He answered and knew who it was. I guess because, cell phones and caller ID.
Yeah.
And wanted to talk about Helen. And most of the interview was talking to Helen about making apple and he was talking about that in his new lawn tractor.
Well,
I guess he was excited to cut grass.
Well, I could say this. I don't know if he's listening because Steve likes to sleep in, but our own Steve Moulton, one of the other interviews that I believe I sat in on this one. It was awesome. When Alabama played Florida State back in 2017, if you remember that, Scott, the first game of the season. We had Gene Deckerhoff on the drive, and Gene Deckerhoff was the longtime voice of the Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah.
And he told us the story of how Gene pulled off something, and I think he still is the voice of the Bucks, but he pulled it off back in his career where he did both. On Saturdays and Sundays, he did Florida State, and on Sundays he did the Bucks, and he told the story of how that happened and how he had to call Coach Bowden and ask permission because he was already working for Florida State. And he said, Coach Bowden just answered the phone and said, well, Gene, what do you need from me? He said, well, Coach, I just need your permission.
Right.
Because the Bucks want to hire me full time. He goes, well, do whatever you need to do. I mean, that's fine with me. He just goes, but that's, and so that's just, it was a classic story about how because it's tough to pull off because you got to get on airplanes. Because you're not always in the same city. I mean, it's so, and Gene Deckerhoff, I mean, he was the longtime voice of both. That's really hard to do. And he's done national championship games. Florida State won both those. He's done 3 because Jimbo lucked into one. And then certainly the Bucks won a couple of Super Bowls. So, I mean, but the storytelling and Coach Bowden is amazing.
I just keep thinking apple pie now.
I know you got apple pie in the brain.
And I'll tell you, Kelly Ingram that owns the Dairy King in Center.
Oh, okay.
Her daughter's name is Helena. She plays softball for the Garden. She said the next time y'all come through and y'all are making a run to Glencoe to run out of the way,
right?
I'm gonna go over there today on my way to Heflin, and we're gonna do some tenderloin and gravy.
Oh, they got tenderloin
mashed
and
potatoes.
Uh-oh.
Oh God, I'm telling you, it's
Scott's a tenderloin aficionado.
I just right now though,
he wants some apple pie.
I just want some apple pie
and some ice cream.
Yep.
Hey, I'm listening to him talk about how good Helen's pie was, and I would have never known his wife's name was Helen if he didn't say it in the interview. Listening to him talk about that was very, very, very entertaining.
Yeah, Scott can't concentrate anymore.
I can't. I'm done.
He's done.
Well,
I'm done.
He's just thinking.
I'm thinking apple pie. I'm just thinking any kind of pie now. Just
Alamo.
give me some pie.
Pie. I mean, right now, if somebody brought in some pie and you could smell it, it would really be over.
It would be done. I would be.
John would have to take over.
I would be over because I'd be like, no, I mean, it's like when we ate the fried turkey. I could just do the turkey and eat the pie. I could eat the pie on the air and just have some pie.
We ate 3/4 of a turkey in like 45 minutes.
I know, but if somebody had pie right now, I'd be in trouble.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Well, speaking of being on top, after she told her dad 6 years ago, we'll never lose another game in this gym as long as I'm here. And she kept that promise. They won the county tournament every year, and they only lost 2 games when they were butting up against Pisgah and a few others. Your 2024-2025 girls basketball player of the year via Max Preps, Ace Austin.
Well, she's going to win all those awards, man. She's going to win.
She's
going to
win. Yeah, she's going to win everything.
She's going to win every award you can.
She'll be the Gatorade. She'll be the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state for basketball.
No
she'll hands down easily win that one as well. And so, yep. All right, Brandon.
I wish Alabama basketball had half the players we got had half the drive and determination that she's got.
Oh, no doubt. She's good. She's definitely got it. All right,
get that pie, some shepherd's pie.
Oh yeah.
No, not in on shepherd's pie.
No, he wants apple pie.
I want apple pie. I want the bad pie.
I wouldn't mind some Kentucky Derby pie.
Okay. Thanks for the phone call, Brandon.
That's a combination of chocolate pie and pecan pie.
Oh.
Some people call it pecan.
Yeah, it's especially up there. You go to Louisville.
Yeah.
And a lot of restaurants up there, that's the pie that they have in their restaurants up there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get a break in. Finish up with phone calls for hour 1 next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Working on a wreck at the north end of the causeway coming out of Decatur. Got the number 2 and number 3 lanes blocked up there. One's the only thing open. They're pushing all the traffic over to the left to get around that one. They reported it as an injury type, but they canceled EMS. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Let's visit the phone lines out of the break. Let's get to Justin real fast. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, 2 folks for Alabama showed up last night. It was Sears and Thylon, and everyone else just wasn't in the picture.
Well, I will disagree slightly. I thought Cliff played a great second half. I thought he kept him in it as much as he could. And I thought Grant Nelson gave an effort. He's just injured, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a break there. He had 10 points and 4 boards. Missed some blockouts, no question about that. Certainly didn't play a great game, but when Mo Diabate, Chris Youngblood, Aiden Holloway, and Jaron Stevenson combined for 14 points, that's pathetic. And that's basically the way it is. So
yeah, that's another thing about Alabama. If you, in my opinion, if you watch them play, out of Thylon, Sears, Youngblood, and Holloway, Alabama is as good as anybody in America when Alabama needs 3 out of those 4 guys to play well.
Agreed.
And with 2, you only get 2 of them playing well. Alabama it's a dogfight, and it's been a loss, especially in the last couple of weeks. But I got an argument with a guy last night. He said Alabama's not playing real well. I said, look, man, I'm not saying losing a ball game is something you should accept, but 3 out of the last 4 losses Alabama's had, they've been the top 5 teams.
They have.
It's not like you're losing a cream puffs. Granted, Alabama didn't play well. They deserved to win last night, but Alabama, it reminds me so much of last year. Alabama did the same thing. They turned it on once the tournament started. It might be that wake-up call and that they need, and I just think that if you can go out there, and I think the NCAA tournament is an offensive-based tournament. If you're a defensive mind, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with a defensive-minded team. I believe you got to play defense. If you can't just go score 8 points in the NCAA tournament in your sleep, you're not going to go very far. And It's been that way forever, except for the one year that Virginia won it. But Virginia was fortunate that year because every team they played in that tournament, they matched up extremely well with because everyone played exactly like they did.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to score 80 in your sleep to win it. And Alabama can do that. They have gotten better on defense. Didn't play very well last night, but
No, I would agree with you. I thought they played.
Justin, thanks for the phone call, by the way.
Thanks for the phone call, Justin. But I thought that was the frustrating part. I thought they played with intensity and snap and want to against Tennessee. They just made some crucial mistakes that sometimes happen in a game where you and then the head coach made some errors. You don't have the right personnel in. You don't execute on a free throw. And let's be honest, Tennessee made some tough plays that if those shots don't go in, then Tennessee loses. But they made the plays. And so that you can play well and lose. I thought they did that against Tennessee. But I thought last night they gave about a C- effort, and they still were in the game. But I just didn't think they played with the pop and the intensity that they needed to against a team of Florida's caliber, because Florida is probably the best offensive team in college basketball.
Yeah.
And if Florida rebounds like they did against Alabama with that ferocity, and if they're winning the 50-50 balls, and if they defend a little bit better, but I'll be honest, Alabama, they're not going to face many offensive teams as good as Alabama. So if Florida defends and gives good effort, they're going to be tough to beat because they can really, really score.
All right, let's get Jeff in the Burrow in before the break. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up, man?
Hello, guys.
What's up?
I was going to say on last night's game, Florida was plus 15 on the boards.
They were.
Yes.
We've been talking about it all morning, bro.
And I want to say, too, about this tournament, the SEC's got to win the whole thing. This Final Four business, they got to win it all.
So they got to win it all.
Yes, because they've been like football when Ohio State beat Tennessee in the playoffs. It's like those announcers said. People are sick and tired of hearing about how great the SEC was in football all these years. And like this year, they've already been talking about how great the SEC, how great it is. See, it's a tournament in March. It don't matter what the NCAA tournament. That's where it's determined. Because in the last 10 years, since 2014, the ACC has won 3 national championships, 3 of them. They've got to win it all. This stuff. I mean, at 85.
Look, people still regard.
That 3 or the 4.
People still regard the Big Ten as one of the best basketball conferences in the country.
Well,
and Michigan State is the last team to win it back in what year?
2000.
Yeah.
Well, win it all. I'm tired of HCB, but no, win it all. No HCB chance. Don't happen to be there. See y'all.
Here's the thing. He knows Kentucky has no chance.
Right.
They could, with the right draw, get to the Sweet 16 and then get a bit
right.
But he knows they have 0 chance to win it all. So that's why he's putting the onus on everybody else. And by the way, once Kentucky does lose and go home,
he ain't going to watch it anymore anyway. All right, hour 2, Talking Ball next.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew Dermond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right. Hour 2, Talking Ball, going to be helped out by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Give them a call today, 256-881-5151. If you want to experience that SportsMed difference, make sure you give them a call today. They're the official medical providers of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. They're the official medical providers of the UAH Chargers, which, by the way, the Chargers will have 2 games on Saturday at the Pete Hanna Center in Homewood.
I bet they block out and rebound.
Yes. While they are in the Birmingham area, they are not playing in Birmingham on Saturday. If you're playing in Birmingham, you're playing at the BJCC.
Right. This is not,
Yes.
If you're the Hanna Center.
It's the Pete Hanna Center in Homewood.
On the campus of Samford University.
I get it drives me crazy. Oh, they're going to Birmingham on Saturday. No, they're not going to Birmingham on Saturday. They're going to Homewood.
They're down Lakeshore Drive where all the highfalutins are.
Yes, where all the highfalutins are. All right. Last night, Alabama, Florida, obviously, we talked a lot about it in hour 1. Florida's ability to grab offensive rebounds, Florida's ability to convert at the rim, Florida's ability to convert second chance points and get points off fast breaks were a huge difference in that ball game last night.
Oh, it was huge. I mean, Florida has the best offensive team in college basketball because I thought they were the 2 best, and obviously the winner gets the spoils there. And you have to call Florida, and especially after what they did in Neville Arena against Auburn, scoring 90. I mean, they're the best offensive team in the college game. My only slight question, again, and worry is, at times I think they lack physicality, and I think defensively, if they run into a bad matchup, but they can score with anybody. And so in their last 9 games, only loss is on the road at Georgia. And they still scored 83 in that game. And again, I'll say it again. You're elite offensively when you can dig a 26-point hole and then take a lead with like a minute and a half to go. And Georgia has to make some great plays to still pull it out, 88-83. So this is an elite offensive team. And if they rebound and play with the edge they played against Alabama, especially that last 10, 11, 12 minutes, then Florida can make a deep run. They can get to the Final Four. I think they're definitely a 1 seed. No question about that in my mind. And we're going to talk about that and more with one of my favorite guys. You can hear him on 102.1 FM, 1240 AM WFOY. He is the host of Sports Now. That's from 4 to 6 every Tuesday, 4 to 6 Eastern, by the way. And then Wednesday through Friday on 1021news.com from 4 to 5 Eastern time, which of course would be 3 to 4 Central. I've been on his show many times, and it's always an honor. And John Frary has been able to get up and join us after watching that big win for the Gators last night in Gainesville. How you doing this morning, John?
Good morning, guys. First of all, doing great. And you guys laid it out perfectly, this Florida basketball team. The only thing I would add to that, they are getting healthy at the right time as well.
Right. Good point.
Alex Condon had a career night scoring last night.
You mean Keith Van Horn? Because that's who he looked like to me.
Yeah, that's the best he's looked to me as well, especially since he's come back from the injury.
Right.
And Micah Hand-Logton's getting better now.
Yes.
Scoring-wise, you're not seeing him show up, but defensively and rebounding stuff that you mentioned, he is showing up. And you can just tell he's getting more confident coming back from that gruesome leg injury he suffered in the SEC tournament a year ago. And they were also able to bounce back from several Alabama runs in that game. There was a few times last night, guys, where I thought, Alabama made a run, then they would slightly go ahead, but Florida always had an answer. And this team is playing with a little chip on their shoulder too, guys, because they think they should be a 1 seed.
Yeah, Coach Golden said that last night. I mean, he did not run from it.
Yep, Todd Golden does not shy away from expectations. He knows he's in Billy Donovan's shadow in this program. Anybody that takes that job is, but Todd Golden is embracing that. And the other thing about this season, guys, they have had to endure, this basketball team. There was the Title IX allegations back in November against Todd Golden. That never seemed to affect this team's performance on the court. There's been all the injuries, whether it was Alex Condon Walter Clayton missed a game. Elijah Martin missed a couple of games, including the one they went into Auburn and won.
Yeah, so that's another great point. They didn't have him in that game either, so that's a great point.
And so they've overcome all this, and they are now looking at, as you laid out, Drew, I think they are the 4th 1 seed if they win on Saturday. I'll throw that caveat in there. They've still got to beat Ole Miss at Gainesville Saturday. But I think if they do that, regardless of what happens in Nashville next week, I think they are the 1 seed because not only did they win last night in Alabama on senior night,
right?
Tennessee lost at
did.
Ole Miss. I think that helped Florida too. Everything that Florida has needed to happen so far leading up to the final weekend of this season is going their way. So I think they are going to be a 1 seed. They might be in the West region. We'll see. But this has been a phenomenal year for Todd Golden and Florida basketball. It's kind of been a resurgence because it's been 11 years, honestly, since Florida's had a basketball team that you felt like could go to a Final Four. That was Billy Donovan's next to last season.
Yeah.
And so I think this team can go deep. Now, the other thing they have to avoid, though, in the tournament, you mentioned that 26-point hole they dug out of at Georgia, and they did. But then I think they ran out of gas in the final couple of minutes of that.
Yeah.
And they've got to avoid that. That's the one thing I worry about in a 6-game tournament. Are they going to be lackadaisical and get off to one of those slow starts where the physicality's not there like it should be? That's really the only thing I worry about right now with this team. And the other thing, they're so deep, guys, that Sam Alexis, who's also been out, was eligible to play last night. We were told they didn't get him back out on the court. He was coming back from a sprained ankle, too. Todd Golden's got a problem probably every coach in the country would like in March. How do I play 10 guys? I don't know if he slowly implements Sam Alexis back in this lineup for maybe 3 to 5 minutes a game as well, but that's probably a problem every other coach would want right now.
And I'll say this, John, real quickly. If like you played that out, they got to beat Ole Miss in the O-Dome on Saturday to go into the SEC tournament with the 2 seed. That Scott and I we were hashing this out in the first hour before you came on. If Florida were to win 3 games in 3 days and beat Auburn for the second time, I still say Auburn is the 1 seed if they played each other in the SEC tournament championship game, even though the Gators would have 2 wins over them. So you could make a case for Florida being the number 1 overall seed. But I think Auburn would be the 1, and I think the Gators would be the number 2 1 seed. I think they would jump over Duke, who's played nobody. And I'm a big Duke fan. Everybody understands that.
Right.
But they played nobody. And then Houston, the Big 12 is a good league, okay? But it's not the SEC. And I just think Auburn and Florida, to me, should be the number 1 and 2 teams in the country.
Well, there's definitely a case to be had there, Drew. There's no doubt. And I can tell you right now, despite what some folks have been saying, Todd Golden's going to play everybody in that SEC tournament if he's been true to us at the post-game press conferences. He wants to win that.
Oh, there's no question. I would expect that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to go in there full bore next week. I mean, the thought process was they lost Han Longton in that tournament a year ago.
They did, yeah.
Which basically eliminated them from the NCAA the next week. They lost to Colorado. I think they win that game if Han Longton was healthy. So that's why there are some that are saying, why not maybe limit these guys next week in Nashville? Don't worry about winning that tournament. But Todd Golden's not one of those guys. I can tell you, he wants to win everything, not just the national title. He was disappointed last Saturday when Auburn clinched the SEC regular season title. He told us that in the postgame after the Texas A&M game. So I expect Florida to go in there full blaze ahead, and the goal is to win that next week. They'll have the double bye, so they will only have to win 3 games, but they'll be 3 of the toughest games. As you laid out, the SEC is the toughest conference in the country, and maybe they can play themselves up from the 4th 1 seed to maybe the 3 or the 2. I think you're right overall, though, Drew, as far as even if they beat Auburn the second time, I think the committee's going to have Auburn locked in as the number 1 overall seed, unless they lose on Saturday to Alabama and maybe have a one and done in Nashville. I don't see that happening. So
right.
I think Florida's best chance is to get maybe the second number 1 overall seed. But all that aside, guys, the most important thing is this Florida team is clicking on all cylinders right now. They're getting healthy at the right time, as I said, and they can beat anybody on a given night. We've seen that during the year, and I think we'll see that in March Madness and maybe early April too.
You look at this Florida run, and obviously the more it goes, the longer it goes, there's going to be, especially when you get into the NCAA tournament, it's going to be Billy Donovan, and you're going to see Billy Donovan versus Todd Golden. And it's kind of funny to think that when Billy got it going, he was 34 at Florida. Golden is 38 right now. I mean, the similarities between the two at this stage in their careers, man, it's so similar.
And it's eerie to be around Todd Golden because, sadly, guys, I was old enough to have been around Billy Donovan back then. And they kind of look alike. They kind of have the same demeanor and ways, and they have that confidence about them, that bravado, which I think you need, meaning they don't care who they're playing and who's on the other sideline. I remember Billy Donovan in that first Final Four run back in 2000. They had to beat Duke during that run, and they did. And they did wind up losing to Michigan State, but Todd Golden's the same type of guy, personality-wise, as far as he doesn't care who's on the other sideline or how many wins they have. Like, if he runs up against Rick Pitino, let's say, in St. John's, who is a legend, it's not going to faze Todd Golden. I can tell you that. None of that is. So, and that's the eerie similarities and the age reference you made, Scott. You're right. It's just eerie how that is. The Florida fans are hoping Todd Golden can go on a run like Billy Donovan did into his 40s and maybe early 50s too.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. No question about it. And they've got one of the best teams in college basketball. Todd Golden's done an outstanding job since coming over from San Francisco and just done amazing things. And this Gator basketball program is back. Now I want to ask a question. He's been a topic of conversation. I'm not going to use the particular nicknames that I used in hour one due to respect for you, but I'm sure, how popular on your radio show is Danny Cannell?
About as popular as a winter storm probably in New Hampshire right now. Not very popular, guys. I'll keep it clean on your show as well, guys.
Oh, we didn't keep it clean in hour one.
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep it clean in this hour.
But
he's probably about as popular as Joe Biden. Would that be another accurate statement?
Unfortunately, there are guys that can get jobs in this profession, even that are Danny Cannell. I'll just leave it at that. But there's not a lot of popularity in St. Augustine or Duval or St. John County.
Well, yeah,
unless you're the small minority that are in the FSU circle. I guess there might be some there, but there aren't many.
What brought it up was Danny Cannell yesterday on Twitter went off and basically he agreed with Ken Pomeroy or whatever, talking about he's been waiting for people to call SEC basketball overrated for 3 months. And then Greg Sankey chimed in and was like, wait a minute, and laid out the SEC's resume as to why they're so overrated.
And that's why we love Sankey, guys. He's been a great commissioner, and
agreed.
He will lay it out to anybody that is a one that's against the SEC. And this conference is going to break the record for the most teams in a tournament to begin with. I don't see any way they won't. 11's the record. The Big East 2011. They've got to get at least 12 in.
It looks like that way now.
On that, if not more.
Right.
So,
it looks like 12 or 13, John.
Yeah, I think so too. And now the one thing you fear, if you're an SEC follower, is that if by chance none of them get to a Final Four, the Danny Cannells of the world are going to pop up like a groundhog, on February 2nd. Yep. They are, but I don't really care. The SEC's been the best conference head and shoulders above all of them this year, period, regardless of what happens. in the big dance. But I think we're going to have a couple of SEC teams in the Final Four in San Antonio, and probably many in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 too. I just think they're going to show out when this thing starts in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the other point. Like when you wonder when they get outside their league and they laid waste in the pre-conference, how are they going to do in the NCAA tournament? You know, and maybe they'll all thrive. We will see. There's no question. The way we threw it at Danny, and this one, you know, Greg Sankey had a great tweet and post, whatever you want to call it, and threw a lot of facts at him. But the biggest fact, you know, John, is Clemson lost to South Carolina.
Yeah, that's true. That
I think it was at Clemson.
I forgot about that, but yeah, that doesn't bode well for anybody against the SEC.
No, at least for the ACC it doesn't. And of course, we know Danny played in that esteemed conference in the ACC.
And I can tell you guys, Florida should have lost to South Carolina back when they played them on the road.
Right.
That was another game they had to come back. They were behind the entire game until the final seconds and won by 1 point. South Carolina in another conference with Lamont Paris would be a heck of a lot better than they are in the SEC right now. They're not as bad as their overall record. It's just that they're getting beat up by one of the best conferences of all time, I think, in the history of college basketball right now. That's their biggest problem.
Yeah, they'd probably be top 5 in the ACC.
Probably.
They might be. I would say so. Yeah, I would agree with that. So, and that's why I think Lamont Paris is going nowhere. That's another subject, but I don't think he's in any danger of losing his job this season after what he did a year ago.
No, I wouldn't think so. And finally, John, just any early buzz and impressions of the Gators and spring football. Certainly, we know that the narrative has completely flipped. You know, Billy Napier was, in September, he was in huge trouble. I think no one thought he might even finish the season, but we know how the Gators finished. They got a bowl win. They flipped recruiting completely in the last month and a half in December. They had a pretty good, I think, portal season, off season. What's the buzz right now coming out of spring?
Well, they've just begun spring practice to begin with. In fact, yesterday, the expectations are the buzz right now that you laid it out, that the way they finished last year in November, then the recruiting momentum they got, getting inside the top 10. I thought Billy Napier was fired on September 15th of last year, guys.
Yes.
So I would have lost that bet. I can tell you that after the Texas A&M game. And I've given him a lot of credit for keeping those guys together, being able to turn that with all the turmoil that was going on. And now with DJ Lagway and the experience he got, he was 6-1 in the 7 games he got to start last year. That was the blessing of the Graham Mertz injury. Not that I wanted him to get hurt. I didn't. But that gave Lagway a lot more playing time against some very elite teams in the conference. So I think that bodes well. 4 out of 5 offensive linemen are back. I think that bodes well. A couple of young running backs, Baugh and Jackson are back. And
Love Baugh. Yeah.
And then, of course, at wide receiver, they've got Trey Wilson coming back. Eugene, Trey affectionately as he's known, was injured last year. So I think it's going to be a very interesting year. Billy Napier needs to win 9 games, though. Let me throw that out there. I think anything less, and the Gator fans are not going to be very happy. That's going to be the expectation with Lagway back, because you're only going to have Lagway for 1 more year after this one. It's a 3-year window with him. That's going to be it. He'll be NFL bound. They got to capitalize on that. And so next year, I think 9-3 is the expectation, the minimum. And we'll see if Billy Napier can live up to that. This 4th year is a big year for him.
It's going to be, no question about it. And I will say, Scott, the turnaround he had last year,
remarkable.
Was, yeah.
I mean, we were sitting there and we were sitting there at SEC Media Days. We were all sitting there, and it was like dead man walking for Billy Napier. I mean, we were sitting there back in July, and it was dead man walking.
And then, the way, like John said, the first 2 weeks, it's just like, how is he even going to make it?
Yep.
But just goes to show you, sometimes you got to let things play out, and we'll see how it plays out for Florida football in the spring and Florida hoops right now. Florida, number 1 seed, in my opinion, no question, in the NCAA tournament right now. And Todd Golden should probably get some National Coach of the Year mention also. But John, we really appreciate the time. Let everybody know how to follow you and your show and your work.
They can follow me on X/Twitter at JF_Sports Now, in St. Augustine at 102.1 and 1240 WFOY, and online at 1021news.com. And always an honor and a pleasure. And I didn't get to make that SEC media last year in Dallas, guys, but I hopefully will see you both on July 14th in Atlanta. I'm looking forward to that.
Is that
Can't
the
wait.
date?
Well, I'm throwing that out there. They have not said that yet, but they always put that the week of the All-Star game.
So
that's
true.
I'm just going to say it's July 14th through the 17th, but that is just me prognosticating, so that might be dangerous.
Well, see, John and I both have the same issue. We both have new cars, so for the same reason. There you go.
All right.
And the All-Star game is in Atlanta for Braves fans.
Yes, it
here
is.
as well.
Unless Rob Manfred gets something up his butt again and decides to move.
Unless he calls Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. So thanks, John. That's what we deal with here.
Appreciate you, John.
Thanks,
you very
John.
much.
Thanks, guys. Always an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. See, John got an offender bender, on the way to the airport.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
See, I was made aware of that by our good friend Martin McLeod, who he was going to travel with. So I had a fender bender as well. So
okay.
Just thank the Lord, John's fine.
Well, John talked about SEC wins and football and all that stuff. Well, ESPN put out their strength of schedule for 2025. Who has some of the toughest schedules in the country for this next year and their projected win totals because of it? We'll fill you in next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They still have the two right lanes blocked off on the causeway coming northbound out of Decatur. It's right at the north end of the causeway. Reported as an injury accident. They canceled EMS on it. Still trying to get it clear. The number one lane's the only thing moving there. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain. Every game, all season, right here on your home for Alabama basketball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at SensaGreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 977 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Judy Arman. Welcome in. So we were just talking a little Florida Gator football right there, and the expectations surrounding Billy Napier. Well, ESPN has put out their 2025 top 40 strength of schedule ratings. And with that, the projected win totals because of it. As of right now, going in, a lot of this changes because of in-season results and the schedules kind of go changing. Oklahoma right now sitting on top with the toughest schedule in 2025 on the football side, simply because of they have road games at South Carolina, at Tennessee, at Alabama, and then they hit October and November. They got games with rivals Texas, Ole Miss, and LSU. Number 2 on this list is Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, once again with a tough schedule in the country. And that prompts them at a win total of 6.6 games, according to ESPN, because of having the second toughest schedule. Last year, Billy Napier had the toughest schedule in the country. He is not getting any kind of break. Number 3 on this list is Arkansas as far as toughest schedules. And then Vanderbilt checks in at number 5, Mississippi State at number 6, South Carolina at number 7, Kentucky at number 8, LSU at number 9, Texas A&M at number 10, Alabama at number 11, Texas at 12, Georgia at 13. You get the gist here that the SEC is once again, even though they haven't won the national championship in 2 years,
2 whole years,
their strength of schedule is still tops in the country. And what? Of the 13, and Auburn, by the way, at number 15. So really, if you wanted to say of the 15 teams in the top whatever, the SEC has 12 or whatever, the toughest schedules in the country again.
Mm-hmm. And then Danny's cousins will probably be on the committee again, setting up the bracket for the Big Ten. So unless they make some changes, because I don't know how much change they're going to make for the second year. It may take to the third year when they have to expand the field. But I'm sure Danny was pleased that SMU, aka Wofford, got into the playoff and proved so valiantly that they deserve to be in. And we all know how Clemson did as well in said playoff. So it was not good.
I just thought it was, I think it's interesting because you look at that and you're like, well, the Big Ten has won the national titles and everything.
Well, the Big Ten can say that. The ACC can't really say a whole
But then you look at the strength of schedule and the best Big Ten team with the toughest strength of schedule is Wisconsin, who checks in at number 4 this year.
Mm-hmm. And who are they playing again?
They go to Alabama in September.
There you go.
They have conference games at Michigan, home against Ohio State, and are at Oregon. That is why.
You notice if you play Alabama, you have a tough schedule. Now, if Alabama plays somebody, they play nobody. But, that's just the way it is. Love Luke Fickell, by the way. Think he's a good coach.
Right. He got an extension.
He should have.
He got a contract extension.
Had some tough injuries last year. Nearly beat Ohio State.
Now, Mississippi State has the 6th toughest schedule in the country going into the year because they host Arizona State in September.
They're in big trouble, by the way, because they have a pathetic coaching staff.
Mississippi State?
Horrendous, especially on defense.
You are not a fan of Coleman Hutzler.
No. He's probably he's the Danny Cannell of defensive coordinators.
Okay. Would you rather have him or Wild Turkey?
Oh, Wild Turkey 100%. Because Wild Turkey is good to average. Okay.
Right.
Hutzler is an idiot. Hutzler is so bad as a position coach, he made Will Anderson hate football. That's all you need to know. One of the most dominant defensive players
and one of the most
in
nicest
Alabama
guys
in SEC history. That's how bad a coach that Coleman Hutzler is. Okay. He's horrendous.
So you would rather go with Wild Turkey.
Yep. 100%. Or Tosh Lupoi.
Really? Were you not a fan of Tosh Lupoi?
As a defensive or as a outside linebackers coach and recruiter? Yes. As a defensive coordinator?
So Coleman Hutzler or Freddie Roach?
Pass. You can do that on game shows.
You can pass. Is that like a puff pass type of pass?
It's called drop the P.
Oh, no, it's a press your luck.
Yeah, that's
you're
what
passing.
But I'm also
passing one of the.
I'm also intertwining the wheel of fortune here, ass. Because that's what they both are as coaches.
Okay. All right. Let's get a break in. Blake Byler, he's going to join us, recap Alabama's hardwood and Tide going through spring practices. I've already got a couple knocked out. We'll check in with them next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Definitely going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. Temperatures only climbing into the lower 50s across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures drop into the mid and upper 30s across the area. A little more cloud cover for your Friday, but we are going to be a little bit warmer across the area. We are actually going to climb to seasonal for this time of year. Seeing temperatures climb into the low and mid 60s, only dropping into the upper 40s, lower 50s as we head into the overnight early Saturday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They still have the two right lanes blocked off on the causeway coming northbound out of Decatur. It's right at the north end of the causeway. Reported as an injury accident. They canceled EMS on it. Still trying to get it clear. The number one lane's the only thing moving there. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Abraham here for the Spring Home and Garden Show presented by the Huntsville-Madison County Builders Association, March 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Von Braun Center South Hall. And not only will you find celebrity guests, a family fun zone for the kids, and some great ideas and products for the home, you'll also find the Tom Abraham Show on location Friday at the Owen Home Appliance Center booth from noon to 2 on Friday, March 7th to help kick off the weekend. We'll see you at the Spring Home and Garden Show at the VBC. The Spring Home and Garden Show, March 7th through 9th.
Hey, do you have heating and air issues as the springtime starts to roll around? Hey, there's just one name you need to know. Talent Heating and Air. #1 heating and air business right here in the Tennessee Valley.
Yeah, we're locally based. If you call, you're going to get somebody based in Huntsville. Mentioned in spring earlier, we can actually do indoor air quality products, so we can help alleviate those allergy problems you're having in your house.
All right, Thomas from Talent Heating and Air, give them the number that when they call, somebody live and local will pick up.
That's 256-503-4490.
And you can always head to the World Wide Web and find Talent Heating and Air, and you guys will still respond.
That's talenthvac.com. If you don't want to talk to a person right away, you can fill out a form on there and get scheduled for a visit.
That's Talent Heating and Air. They're live, they're local. It's Talent Heating and Air.
AL certain number 21014.
We are your home for March Madness.
Hit the corner. James, right corner three. Oh, it's a Tennessee blitz. The Volunteers dominating the Creighton Blue Jays in the second half.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
How about this to put everything in perspective for you?
2 weeks from today, when we leave here at 9 a.m., we will be about 2 hours away from the start of the NCAA basketball tournament. 2 weeks from today, when we leave this show and we stop and get some breakfast on the way home, we will be about an hour away from kicking off the
greatest
NCAA
event
basketball
in sports.
tournament. Yep. 2 weeks from today, it all begins. Last night, Alabama taking on Florida it was a high-level basketball game. Just unfortunate that parts of the game Alabama didn't bring their high-level energy to.
Yeah, it's very true. And I've ranted about this for most of the show. And
yes,
you've been my sounding board. Our next guest has a very, very sharp basketball mind. If you follow him on X or social media platforms, when we first started featuring him when he was a student at the University of Alabama on the Crimson and White and doing work for Bama Central. He has since moved on to on3sports.com and Bama Online and is doing an amazing job covering both Alabama basketball and football. But he has a very sharp basketball mind, and I wanted to bring him back into the show because it's going to be his floor. I want him to kind of be a voice for the listeners as to what he thinks of where Alabama basketball is right now. And he's been kind enough to join us for a few minutes, and that's Blake Byler, and he's now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Blake, you're with Drew and Scott in Huntsville. Good morning, sir.
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
We're doing well.
Good.
And I'm going to give you the floor. I've tried to give my thoughts on it. You do a great job. You always do a column after each game of your takeaways, your biggest takeaways from this game that we saw last night that was the last one in Coleman Coliseum for this particular basketball season, Blake.
Yeah, I think it was a really strange game, honestly, when you look at how a lot of Alabama's games have gone throughout this season. The first thing that sticks out to me was how Alabama kind of got dominated on the glass. Florida out-rebounded them 50-35. That's a -15 margin. And this Alabama team has been a really good rebounding team kind of throughout the season. Offensive rebounding has been one of their primary ways that they've scored the ball offensively. They're great. They've been a pretty good shooting team. They've scored at the rim really well, but they've also been a great offensive rebounding team. Their defensive rebounding wasn't great last night either. And so it was kind of uncharacteristic to see a team be able to kind of pump them on the glass time and time again throughout the entire 40-minute game last night. And Florida's also a great rebounding team, so a lot of credit to them. But this was the first time Alabama had been out-rebounded by double digits in a game this season, and also only the fourth time all year that they've been out-rebounded, period. So the first thing that kind of jumps out to me was that. And then the second thing was that they really just didn't play with as much energy, and as Nate Oates likes to put it, he called it pop. They didn't have enough energy and pop that you would expect them to have. And I don't really know the reason for that. Nate Oates said after the game that he doesn't really know the reason for that. He said they could be tired. I mean, this was the sixth straight ranked team that they have played. They could be still kind of suffering a hangover, a letdown from blowing the Tennessee game on Saturday and losing at the buzzer. So none of those are excuses, more so potential reasons for why ever it was that they came into the game last night and didn't look as energetic as they needed to. Florida looked more energetic. Florida was getting more loose balls. Florida was making more hustle plays. The 50-50 balls seemed like they were going Florida's way. I remember a couple of times in the second half when Alabama finally started feeling like they were diving for loose balls and hitting the deck to try to make tough plays. Even then, the ball still kind of bounced into a Florida player's hand and ended up with a layup a couple of times. And so, sometimes that's how it goes. It's a little disappointing to see this in a game where, they're fighting for a 1 seed. They're fighting for a double bye in the SEC tournament, which they did end up getting because Missouri lost last night. But still, it's tough to see this team who had such a strong start having lost 4 of their last 6, though all of those losses have been to very good teams.
So the concerning thing to me is the fact that this isn't the first time Nate Oates has sat in a post-game press conference and said, hey, look, the energy wasn't there. It's been a couple times this season. To me, that's just like, okay, what do they got to do to get the guys to have it night in and night out? I get it. The SEC season is a grind. It could be the fact that we're getting towards the end, and sometimes these games are just hard to be ready for. But when you have Florida at home on senior night, it should be a no-brainer. But is that a big area? I mean, is that a concern to you too?
No, I mean, I think it is concerning because it's not something that you expect or want to see from a team that's been as high level as Alabama has. But kind of like you said, like, again, not an excuse, but more of a reason. Like the SEC is unbelievable this year. And so night in, night out, you're facing the grind of the best league in college basketball. And if you look at some certain statistics, maybe the best league that college basketball has ever seen. So when you combine that with the fact that they've played 6, soon to be 7 ranked teams in a row, a lot of those being in, I think, over 4 or 5 of those being in the top 5, you're going to get some challenging games. Now, that's, again, not an excuse for not showing up with enough energy or ready to play, but I can imagine trying to play both sides here. Like, I can see that taking a toll on a team as they go throughout the season, especially in this last stretch. You just look around the league. I mean, Tennessee, coming off the big win over Alabama, lost a road game to Ole Miss last night. Missouri lost on the road to Oklahoma. Auburn lost on Tuesday night to Texas A&M. You just kind of go down the list. There's a ton of like teams are losing in this league everywhere. There's going to be a double bye team in the SEC tournament with at least 6 losses. And then you go down the list, and then you only have 6 or 7 of the 16 teams in the league over 500 in league play. It's a really tough league, and we've certainly seen that and the toll it's taken on Alabama here recently. And
here's another stat. If Alabama doesn't beat Auburn, Blake, and that's going to be an uphill climb, I do think I agree with Nate Oates. I would expect Alabama to play harder against Auburn and might still not get the result they want. But here's how tough the SEC is, because Alabama has been in the top 10 the entire basketball season. But Alabama could go into Nashville, when you just mentioned the double bye, we've talked about it on the show this morning, and they would have an 0-6 record against Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, and Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy, and it shows you how difficult the league has been this season. And it's frustrating to look back at, too, if you're an Alabama fan, looking at some of those losses. Like Tennessee's a game that they should have won. Like, no question, that's a game they should have won. Florida's a game they could have won last night. Auburn is a game that they were in late, could have won it if they had some better shot making in that game. Ole Miss, they laid an egg in that game. Like, there was no excuse for putting up 64 points and playing as poorly as they did that night. And then you go down the list, like Texas A&M, they've beaten Kentucky, they've beaten Mississippi State, they've beaten. It's going to make the SEC tournament really interesting because anybody can beat anybody, and you're throwing the ball on a neutral floor. You've got different teams trending up, different teams trending down. I think it's going to be a really exciting week of basketball. It's good that Alabama has gotten that double bye going into this SEC tournament and that they've already clinched that, because that's an extra day of rest, which if the reason that they haven't had as much pop is that they're tired, that gives them an extra day of rest to kind of regather themselves and get ready for this postseason run. I will say, though, that fact that they've played so many tough teams in a row and the SEC has been so good is one reason that I'm not kind of pressing the panic button on the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you were going to get to this or not, but the NCAA tournament, their first round and second round, maybe even Sweet 16 games will be the worst team that they've played in like a month by the time it gets there. So like this is playing the second round against a 7 or a 10 seed. Like, they've played better teams than that here every single game the past 3 weeks. And by the time it gets there, a month. Like, they've been playing Sweet 16, Elite 8, even Final Four caliber games as far as where the teams are ranked over the past little bit. So that's one reason that I'm not sitting here saying, oh, they've lost 4 out of 6 games. They're going to lose in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, just because of the caliber of teams they've been playing and how battle tested they'll be once those games come.
What do you want to see from this Alabama team, though, once we get into the SEC tournament, we get into the NCAA tournament, or even Saturday? Yeah, what's the most pressing thing that you want to see from this Alabama team?
I just want to see high energy. And through that, I think if they're playing with high energy, I think they're going to compete in these games. Of course, Saturday's an uphill battle. That's going to be probably the most challenging game they played all season when you factor in the level of opponent, with Auburn being number 1 in the country and the location being on the road in one of the toughest places to play. I don't think any Alabama fan should be expecting to win on Saturday, but I think you should expect to go in and see a team that fights and a team that goes in and gives it their best. And if they get beat on the road against the best team in the country, so be it. I don't think that's a reason to panic or anything. That's just kind of how the schedule is shaken out. Going into the SEC tournament, you really just want to see things kind of cleaned up as far as what you saw last night. You want to see better effort on the glass. You want to see guys hitting shots. I thought that was another issue last night that wasn't great. They were 9 of 25 from 3, which isn't bad, but then you look at kind of their best shooters. Sears was 2 of 10. Holloway was 1 of 4. Youngblood was 0 of 2. And those are your 3 best shooters by a mile. All 3 of those guys are shooting around 38% or better. So to be able to be moving forward, you want to have your best shooters being the ones hitting a big shots. It was great to see Phylon go 3 of 4. It was great to see Aiden Sherrill go 2 of 2. But those aren't the guys you need to be relying on for your 3-point production. So getting those guards going again offensively is something that I'm looking for, because guard play is huge in March. And if you have guards playing well, you're going to go a long way. And that on top of continuing to play well on the glass, give good effort on the glass. And then defensively, I thought kind of going into the Florida game, they'd been playing well and trending up defensively. Obviously, giving up 99 points isn't great, and it wasn't a great defensive performance last night. But you kind of want to see them revert to playing well the way they had been against Kentucky, against Mississippi State, and against Tennessee defensively. If you see that, if guards start making shots, if they get right on the rebounds, all of which are things that I don't think are far-fetched. Like, I think those are all things they can definitely do. Then I think you can see a pretty good performance against Auburn, win or lose, and then I think you can see a decent performance in the SEC tournament as they gear up for the big dance in a couple weeks.
Well, you do an outstanding job covering basketball, but we are going to have to ask you one football question just to cover it. We know spring practice is two practices in, as Scott mentioned earlier in the show. They've got 2 in. What are your immediate impressions? I know there was a media viewing this week as well. So early impressions, year 2, Kalen DeBoer.
I just think a lot of guys have been vocal about the vibe being a little different. That Jeremy Bernard mentioned yesterday that kind of since last season ended, there have been a lot of talks about being as player-led as they can be, being more player-led than they were last year. And they've got kind of the grounds and the basis for that. They've got a ton of starters returning that are all seniors. So you're going to have a ton of veteran leadership on this team. It'll be nice for Kalen DeBoer now to be in a position where things are in place going into spring. I think it was last year during spring, maybe it was a week or 2 before spring practice started, that they were still finalizing their staff and getting guys hired. So they're not behind the 8 ball, so to speak, as they were last year, comparatively with having things in place, having the system in place. They're all kind of established now, which I think is going to give them a much better rhythm going into year 2. And so it should be exciting. It's fun to watch, and having a team with this many seniors and this many guys that chose to return, I think is a real positive, and says a lot about what those guys feel about the direction of this program under Kalen DeBoer.
Well,
great stuff.
Great stuff, Blake. We really enjoy your basketball stuff. Is just top notch always. Great thoughts on football. You guys do a great job over there at BamaOnline.com. Let everybody know how to follow you. We know you're going to be all over the coverage of the IBOB Part 2 in Auburn, and then, of course, spring practice continuing. But let everybody know how to follow you on social media.
Yeah, you can follow me on social media at Blake Byler 45 on Twitter, and then all of my work is all posted on BamaOnline.com. That's all basketball coverage, spring football coverage, everything like that. We'll all be over there at BamaOnline.com.
Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks. Let's get that final break in. Tomorrow's headlines next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your 2025 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament has tipped off 4 games last night. Tennessee dominates Texas A&M 77-37. Tennessee now 22-8 overall. Then you had 12 seed Georgia over 13 seed Arkansas 79-74. Mississippi State over Missouri 75-55, and Auburn falls 60-50 to Florida. So that sets up your brackets for today. Vanderbilt will take on Tennessee at 10 a.m. So in another hour, that one gets underway.
Right.
Oklahoma will take on Georgia. Ole Miss will take on Mississippi State. And then the nightcap, approximately 7:30. We say that because Ole Miss and Mississippi State are first. If that one goes a little bit longer,
then
30
minutes after. Whatever
whatever. But it's Alabama and Florida. 6th seed Alabama, 11th seed Florida tonight, approximately 7:30 there in Greenville, South Carolina.
And Alabama with a lot to play for because I think they're kind of in a competition with Tennessee to see who's going to host the first 2 rounds.
Right.
The Lady Vols lost a Georgia team that's not very good at the end of the regular season at home. Alabama lost a high-level game to Oklahoma. So it could be that whoever advances furthest in this SEC tournament gets that. And so Alabama trying to do that for the first time since 99. Big game against Florida tonight for the ladies.
If Alabama is to win that game, I think that is game 8. If Alabama is to win that, I think they would get LSU next.
They would. They would be waiting on 3 seed LSU. Absolutely. And Kim Mulkey with the ugly clothes.
All right. We're not ugly.
He probably likes apple pie.
Oh, gosh. That sounds so good. And pancakes.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I'm here to tell you it's truck month. No payments for 90 days on 24 and 25 models of F-150, Ranger, Maverick, Super Duty, and Lightning.